LA Native Podcast. We have a great show today, right, Zero?
Absolutely. I'm letting my IG family know that we are on YouTube now. So give me 1 second. But
What up, Sky?
So
What's going on,
say
family?
hi, guys.
Zero, we have a very special guest
going
sitting
on?
next to you.
Yes. So I brought my friend Gonzalo because, you don't get these high frequency conversations going with just anyone. And I felt like, this brother has a lot of good insight. He has really good opinions. We always have really good conversations at the store. So I felt like, this is a show that, today we're kind of just, we're going to freestyle this show. There's no real topic that because we already talked about the new year and we talked about all that stuff. And some cultural stuff will come up. I'm sure Daniel will have something to say along the lines of the show. But this is more of a conversation between community members and trying to figure out like our direction, and getting perspective about what we're facing, because sometimes we slip back into these, who you voting for? You should vote. And, we get into these conversations that shouldn't even be a conversation anymore.
Yep.
We already know that they lie to us. We already know that they take advantage of us. We already know that they do all these things. What are our solutions? Where are we going to take this community?
Don't bring head on in here. He'll tell us straight up, hey, dude, Joe Biden all day, every day.
And that's what I mean. Like, there has to come a point where
But shout out to Heron.
where we're not rude to people. We're not going to say like, oh yeah, your opinion doesn't matter. And maybe the discussion and the dialogue needs to happen. But I really don't feel like, this is just my opinion. I don't believe in it. Like, we've had people come up here that's like, no, we need to get somebody in the Senate, or we need to get somebody in the city council. We need at one point, well, you're going to change the whole system? It's not going to happen. It's like, it's better to just develop a system that you guys created as a community and start to implement that. Start to cut the fat of people that really don't take your life into a place where you need to have a good conversation. I wouldn't be asking Gonzalo to come to the podcast if we had, conversations that were meaningless, or that didn't have a certain direction or perspective.
So many distractions right now, Zero, right? Like in the mainstream headlines, like we got Puff Daddy being a sexual predator. You got Donald Trump being him. You got Joe Biden being him. Apparently, we have to vote and shit like that. Those are just like some pretty awkward distractions if you allow it to be a distraction.
Right. So those are your observation of distractions, and those are very good ones because those are current events. But when I look at things and I look at things in a bigger picture, it sounds, it's very curious to me that Russia releases paintings of Jesus Christ or these very prominent biblical figures, right?
That's right.
When Russia does that, they're challenging the narrative of the white narrative, which is the Pope that lives in the Vatican, right? So you see that contrast, right? Because Russia's trying to go, well, the whole world's coming against me, and these guys have NATO, and what I have information, so I'm gonna release this information, right, and see what you guys. Because he released information about like older civilizations that the Vatican conveniently didn't write about, that we don't know about, right? So they're challenging the narrative of the religious factor, but they're also doing something in the financial factor, right? In the financial scheme of it all, which is BRICS. So now you have Russia challenging the dollar with the finances, and you got now Russia releasing information that's challenging the Vatican. So these are very big pictures that we all have to put together to see what world events are going to change the direction upon which our perspective goes. Personally, I don't listen to any of it. I think it's a big show, so you just watch and sit back and... Because like if you're in the jungle and you're a warrior, you got to sit back quietly and see what's happening. That's our perspective. And to have that perspective, one has to heal oneself, and there's a lot more healing conversations that need to happen. And that's why this podcast exists.
Yeah, like for me, Zero, fuck politics, but what I see in my eyes as a businessman, as someone that's on the internet all day, every day.
Sure.
Does inflation exist? Is that even a term, Zero? I think one common thing everyone apparently from my experience, like I said, everyone's saying everything's costing more.
Right. And that's what I mean. Sometimes, okay, now
Do are
we
supplies costing more for you as a business owner?
absolutely things are going up everywhere. I mean, where you used to go and buy some your dinner with your family, they used to cost $50, now cost like $70.
$100 now.
Right.
It's expensive now.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
expensive out there.
you know what's weird is that we're a vegan restaurant in East LA, and we're like the cheapest option. Because we didn't really kind of bite into the inflation. Like, oh yeah, I got to make my sandwich $15 now. It's like that's like hype. That's what I mean. You have to have a different perspective than what the narrative is being given. You got to assess on your own the big world picture to see where you fit in that space. That we have no time to waste for that. You got to really be on that and stop the rumor shit and stop the other bullshit that doesn't really matter. Stop being offended by white supremacists because we already know they don't like you. So why are you going to be mad at it? Take that energy and go, what am I going to do inward? How can I help myself? Where can I improve myself? Because when I improve myself, then I'm a stronger community member. That's my point. You make yourself as strong as a community member as you can. I feel like Gonzalo's that person because he has good opinions. He doesn't just, oh, wow, loosely, wow, everybody's talking about voting for Trump, so I guess I'm going to vote. It's like, that's not the kind of people that we're trying to gather.
Hey, I actually, I have to admit, I did vote in the last election. I literally did, and I voted for Kanye.
Nice.
Because this shit was such a fucking joke.
That
If they want me to vote, they're sending me the shit in the mail. All right, I'll fucking vote.
Hey man, that's a good vote. For
Fuck
me.
it.
It's like it's
Let that guy be the goddamn president. Because as far as I'm concerned, the only person that could beat Trump is like The Rock. It has to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn circus.
It is. It is a circus. And going back to what you were talking about, Zero, I think it's important too, on that note, not to fall into this victim mentality. I think a lot of people fall into this mentality of I'm the victim, they're the suppressor. How to come out of that, right? How to not be the victim anymore. I feel like that's a big thing for me, at least 2024, not having that victim mentality.
And that's the only people, in my opinion, that didn't have a victim mentality were those that challenged themselves to the point of defeating themselves. Right? Those are the people that never go, oh, like I hate to reference my music, but I say I never ask why. I never complain. The way of a warrior is to always stay sane. I can't be complaining and still be in my right mind to make a good decision. We need to challenge ourselves to the point where nothing phases our good decision. And you do that by humbling yourself and knowing that you're protecting those you love. Not your money, not your property, not your ego, not your career. This is what we're shattering the colonial perspective with, is thinking very differently.
What up, Daniel?
What's up, brother? I like the theme.
I mean, that's what I feel. It's like I feel like, we like run in mud, right? Like you tell people how you are, what you think, and then they still hit you with who are you gonna vote for? It's like I'm tired of having that conversation. I'm tired of going, oh, I don't know, Trump. It's like if it's gonna make a difference. You know what makes more of a difference than me voting? Is me figuring out a better diet.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. It's the equivalent.
I'm always
of
going to go to that.
It's the equivalent of me asking you, like, hey, bro, where you want to eat today? Burger King or McDonald's?
Oh
Right?
my God, yeah.
Like, just figure out how to cook yourself at that rate.
Yeah.
Well, I think national politics is not as relevant as local politics. Like you said, Zero, like a lot of people come in here, try to, convince us to like promote a certain senator, a certain local politician. Like they're all fucking scumbags.
To me,
they're all just money launderers, bro.
Daniel, what do you think, man? You haven't talked.
Well, I just listened to. I think that you said something earlier, and there's a saying to it, and it's always I think about this. You gotta act local and think global. You got that? Act local and think global. And it's just. But that's the way we were. But I'm going to throw something in too, and it's kind of like from the native side, the native perspective, is that I hope you'll never catch me saying this as I did this or I did that. No, it's never me, man. I think I had a company, or I have a clothing company, and it's good and successful. I feel because people helped me, people believed in what I was doing, and so I chose to do something that was not me. It was about something else, and so it's beyond me. And when you were talking about today, it's like we live in a very, it's like I love my nephew, man, because he's at Berkeley right now. So he comes to me with a fresh perspective, but at the same time too, he says, he repeats a lot of my sayings, like, because we're beginning to deconstruct this colonized system that they're giving us. And the thing is that their colonized system is about individualism, private property, making everything about me. Bezos, Musk. Like, you hear all these names, individuals, and these motherfuckers ain't shit if there's no one doing all the support work. And it's a fallacy to think that you by yourself do anything by yourself. And I think when you begin to take that, I don't know, perspective or point, you've lost the rest of us. It's kind of like, I hope you never get to do this, but when you go to court, it's a weird fucking drama, weird shit that's there. At least rules, it's not real. It's not, the world is not like that. And so the fact that they created the system when these fuckers sit in this room, protected with a guy with a gun, like, who, you know what I mean? Like, it's just some weird shit, and that's where all our truth is being fucking fought out. And I mean, I don't, I'm just saying this is no, okay, no, 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 no. It's back to what you said. Okay, I get up in the morning. I burn sage. I burn the sage that I grow, and I give thanks to the Creator. That, man, that I made it another day. Like, someone told me that. An elder told me that. Give thanks for the day. Then make your wish for the day. What do you want for today? And I wish that you're good, Zero. That fucking Mondo has a good show. That Sky reaches for his greatness. That fucking that the homie's brother comes home. That my girl's healthy. You gotta wish for those things in the universe. If we're connected to it, it's going to take that song and spiral it. And so how much money I make and all those things, those aren't even real. Money's not even real. What's real though is that all of us here sharing that same concept of something bigger than us. Because this world that you're talking about, they're trying to lure us into this gaga. And I don't even say his name. I say the chimpanzee, because man, all you got to say is if you talk bad about me or my people, ain't no amount of money that's going to make me say that you're okay or accept this caca that you're throwing. I mean, it's like telling a bee, hey, eat shit. The fly tell the bee, hey, eat shit. Nah, man, fuck you. I'm going to eat honey all day and every day. This is a land of honey, and they're trying to feed us shit. And you don't even need to spend time to teach me to eat that caca that they're throwing at it. I do my best to not see that. I see my dad. I see the garden. I play music on my music. I play your music. Ruben, don't ever apologize for your lyrics, brother. Your music is the creator's spiral coming through you, coming into the galaxy. And we're fortunate to use technology for the first time to help our people to heal and to bring love, and not to point out fucking this crap that they're throwing out there. Because if you believe in truth, and I believe in truth, I love truth, because truth exists before me, after me. It don't even need me. But it's a great tool to use in this world of caca that they're throwing us. And so I'm sorry, you got me just
Oh,
going.
That's good, great points.
I mean, we got to remember that they took a lot of our systems, right? Voting was our system, right? Like, tribes would gather, a decision would be made, and then we'd vote who would take the lead or whatever, right? And usually that person was known for generations to come through, like a great architect, a great, botanist, a great whatever. But the whites saw it and they go, "Oh, dude, all I have to do is convince everyone to vote for me, and I got the job." And that's not the way we voted. We voted was like kind of like just kind of making it official, right? Because we already knew that guy was a good guy for the job, so there was no need to be like sneaky or, hey, you're gonna vote for me, Sky, and hey, you're gonna vote for me, Gonzalo, because I'm gonna, I'll have your guys' back, and that's manipulation. That's not our system of voting for the best candidate. The best candidate had the best knowledge of whatever situation was at hand. So for me, say if I knew how to grow a lot of shit and we needed a lot of food really fast, you'd come to me because you'd be like, what would be your strategy to grow a lot of food really fast for all of our community? right? But if it was a community, if it was a building or an electrical situation where we have to get electricity, then I'd go to Gonzalo and I go, Gonzalo, how do you think? What do you think? Well, we can pull power from here. And everyone had a role, is my point. No one went to the president and said, hey, president, what do we do? Yeah, let me sign this fucking paper and make it official.
Hey,
And
but you,
that's the answer to the problem.
hey, but Ruben, can I say something too to me, it's just as clear as day, brother. It's kind of like, sad to say, kind of like our podcast, man. Like, ¿dónde están las mujeres, man? Where's the women? Because here's the thing, brother. Women are creation, okay? And we in all our life are going to work hard to be as great a creator as the creator we all
I think
come
I have
from.
an answer for that. I
And
think I
so
have
I
an
just
answer
think,
for that, though. I know where the women are.
but what I'm saying though, brother, is that like in all these people, man, and in our true native culture, the mujeres were running all the
I
shit,
agree
and we
with
were
you
doing the work,
100%. I agree
you
with
know.
you 100%.
But
You know
but
where
I'm
the
just saying,
women are?
it's just that they're so out of the like. If you look at the war going on, not a single woman out there is in the battle, and it's like they need to be telling these fools, hey man, stop killing what I created. Because when you carry a baby, that's some sacred medicine, man. It changes. I imagine it changes you because like if I pass something through my hole like that, shit, it fucked me up mentally. But I mean, I'm sure it does, but not enough that they keep having babies. And I'm just saying,
It
like,
goes deeper than that,
I'm
Dan.
sure it does, brother. I
I
can't
think you have
even,
I think you have a
and
good
I'm
point.
trying to be respectful. I don't want to be disrespectful to the creator. I'm just saying that if they're not part of the solution, then fuck, I don't want to be part of the solution.
And that's a good point.
That's all I'm saying, man.
But women and men are going through something right now.
Yeah,
We're
for
going through
sure, for
something right
sure.
now. We're going through something right now. Right now, women feel like they're equal, and men feel like we're being devalued, right? Because women feel like they're equal to men, we feel devalued. That's what separates. That's why there's no women in this conversation
Well,
because they're on their own trip right now, going, "Well, fuck that guy. I don't want him." You know,
but Ruben, think of the
we're equal.
Sundance.
My point is this: we're not equal. We're different. She's different. He's different. The trick is not to be equal. Is how can we come together? Because you're one way and I'm this way. Why are you trying to be like me? Why am I submitting like you? I'm only talking from experience. This is why the women aren't here. Because if we had an understanding of, oh, I didn't see that perspective because you're a woman. I understand it. How you explain it is perfect. Like, and me too. I'm going to carry all this wood. I don't want you guys to waste. It's better if when we get the wood, where are you putting us to put it? That's better.
Right.
Let us figure out how to get the wood over there. You don't need to be there. And it's not a disrespect thing. It's an observation of nature.
Right.
Who's bigger? Who can carry the log? Maybe one can be in the front of the line telling us, I don't know. What do you think, Gonzalo? You've been a little...
Yeah, this guy, we got him on there. Let's hear what he says.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, me and Zero, at his shop. Like we have our own roles to play.
Yeah.
We bring different qualities, men and women, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Women, they bring qualities that we need, and us men, we have qualities that they need.
Yes.
So we need to find a balance where obviously we can coexist together and live together, and at the end of the day, it's like we want to prosper together, right?
We want to be able to be ourselves without people being extremely offended that we're being ourselves.
Yeah.
Because, it's kind of like we all know that women are emotional, right? And that's like us going, being in a group and then seeing an emotional woman, and then we're going, oh, there she goes again, man, fucking do it. Instead of us going, oh, wow, something must be really wrong because it doesn't get this,
Hey,
how,
but Ruben,
how are we going in this way? And then remember that the DNA twists around each other.
hey,
That's what a man and a woman do. They twist
we're-
around each other.
and as we're twisting, what's the flip side of she's emotional? He
That-
has no feeling.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, man, I don't like that part. I'd rather.
I've had ex-girlfriends where they got emotional because I didn't buy them a Louis Vuitton purse.
Well, but is
But that's the state that we're.
Is that
that
really
really a
emotion though,
feeling?
Sky?
Nah, that's trying to get it out of you, man.
I mean,
She's trying to milk you for
That's
first
modern
right
day
there.
hunting.
and see, but
That's
even
deception.
even in that
Deception,
situation, even
yeah.
in that situation, I don't feel like a woman that's a good play, right? We were talking about this on the drive over here, right? Like a man's strategy is what I feel is what, and I can't answer this. This is the woman's thing, but I'm guessing, so I'm gonna make that very clear. But a man's ability to strategize, right, is his strength. It's invisible though. It's not in his Jordans or in his fucking, in whatever he feels that makes it in his chain, for young culture.
But Zero, but like how you always say, there's a homie in the chat. Shout out to Ruben Crowfeather. He says maybe invite them to your discussion. We need a woman on here. Who are we to discuss on how women feel?
Before we do that, we as men have to agree what that is, what this men thing is, right?
Absolutely.
Because we can't go into this conversation and this guy's like, well, fuck them. They're fucking over emotional. And I'm going, well, no, you need to be sensitive. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, but shout out to all of our podcast listeners and viewers.
It
'Cause,
doesn't-
like, according to our analytics, like 50% of the viewers and listeners are females.
good. And I'm glad.
and
I'm
we
so
love
happy
all our
about that.
sisters.
I'm so happy to hear that there are females that are listening to what we have to say because we need your help. We do need your help.
Please
and
call in.
Daniel
Call
is
in.
100% right. We need you desperately, but we don't need you to argue. We don't need you to trip us up on our feet. We don't need you to tell you. We don't need you to tell us what we're doing wrong. Let us figure that out. And have that bring it a concern, but like sometimes people are like,
Well, look, here's a funny comment. Shout out to HK. He says, take a woman to the market. They know how to shop for cheaper and they know how to decipher.
Hey, right on.
hey,
He's
no,
right.
that's
He's right.
true.
Do you think so?
It's fucking true.
Hey, can I
He's
say
right,
I was
spot
raised
on.
by my mother.
Absolutely.
My mother raised me, and my mother raised me in a way that I think to myself.
But here's the flip side. There's the finished part of that. Yeah, she'll go and shop and pick up, but who's going to carry the groceries into the fucking thing? And who's going to carry them into the car? And who's going to carry them into the house?
But I think that's a balance. There's a balance there because what you said is right. There's women out there who know what's up with the market. They know they got coupons, right?
Yeah.
They got deals, and they know how to shop, and they know what the house needs.
And that's a perfect way to explain the tandem partnership that happens between a man and a woman. But when we're equal, it's like, nah, you're doing it wrong. I know better. And you're devaluing me, and I just don't feel like that works. It doesn't work. So we have to, as men, come together and come to a consensus as best as we can. Not so that we can come as a group and bully the women, but no, when we separate from our group, we have a bond, we have a perspective, we have a direction. Like, oh, we talked about this in the men's group where, we have to be strategic about how we deal with our women's emotion. We can't be off the cuff and think they should be tough like us.
Right.
Because when they become tough like us, we don't want them.
Absolutely.
Amen.
It's a balance. I think at the end of the day, it's a balance because it's easy to get into, I don't want this, I don't want that. But it goes back to us as men. We have to know ourselves. We have to know what we want.
That's what I told you. We've had conversations too, Sky, where it's like, where we feel like, oh yeah, the ultimate goal is the end of the movie, and it's like that's what we're searching for, and that's what we're searching. And then you're like, but who pays for the dinner, and who goes, and who goes do this, and who goes. We exclude what we put into this, like as our like that's what I mean. It devalues when we understand that our strategy and their organization comes together and creates a good experience. So they have to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation. And one day we'll invite each other to this conversation. And sometimes we'll disagree. And then we'll go back and talk again. And keep doing that for 100 years. And I guarantee you 100 years from now, we're going to have those women, Daniel, that
Well,
you
of
talked
course.
about.
Well, this is where we can't live without him. Even James Brown said,
Can't.
Absolutely not.
it's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without was
A
it a
woman.
woman or a girl?
Absolutely, 100%.
And I mean,
100%.
that's
But it
all I'm
isn't.
saying.
But that song isn't the same if we're off balance and I'm submissive and she's dominant,
But you know what I think we
or
did?
the
I
man is
mean,
dominant and she's ultra submissive.
but I recall the times that I've had a relationship that they were the best when we would play the role back and forth. Sometimes I was in charge, sometimes she was in charge. And it's just a healthy balance. But I don't know if I would agree or disagree that we're both equal, but I think that it's just naturally we build on our strengths and we support our weaknesses. And I mean, I think this is maybe it's why I'm single, but I would rather be with somebody who made me better rather than somebody who just kind of spent me. You know what I mean? Because my life, at least for me at this point in my life, it's like, man, I have commitments. So if I'm going to spend time with somebody, they're going to have to understand my commitments. And some people that's cool, and some people are like, oh, they don't have time for it, and that's okay because I'm a big boy. We make those decisions. But I'm at the point in my life where I feel blessed for the day, and I think there's just a lot of good things to come. I feel like as oppressed as the past has been, I think we're doing a good job in breaking the colonized perspective. I mean, I remember years ago people trying to explain to people what a nawak was. Today people were like, "Oh man, we're beyond that." It's like, man, that's good because man, I just felt like we're on an island sometimes. Because I think there's our women role, there's our men's role, and then there's this whole other like just illusion of what we're chasing. And so I think that's what poisons. I think a lot of times our people because this is what's out there is just about an illusion or not the truth. And it just if we build on truth, like it's a better, more secure presence as well as future. At
And
least
in that and in that truth, what in the groups that I explained, the men group, a woman's group, they have to be truthful in that group. They have to
cool.
figure out what that is. We can't decide what that is. I could
That's fine.
decide. I could suggest what it is in the men's side of things, and even then, other men have opinions about
We
what
can
that should
agree.
be.
We can agree
Yeah, or disagree.
or disagree.
Or some people may be like, no, I don't like to show my emotion at all. I'm a rock. I'm this. And that's okay, dude. That's you. But don't complain that you're lonely. Don't complain that nobody fucking wants to be around you. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's an art to. That's what I believe that the Toltec way is to be a magnificent artist, and then that magnificent artist is how you treat people, how men treat men, how I treat women. Obviously, it's not going to be the same the way I treat women than the way I treat men. There's a different strategy. Especially with me because I have groups of things that happen. And I have to have good relationships with both. I'm not trying to say, but when we say equal, we're insinuating power. There's no power between men. The power comes when we come together. That's the power. But separate, we're kind of like positive and negative charge, right? Like if a battery just had positive charge, it wouldn't be a battery. It has
Right.
to have the positive and the negative charge. Not that the negative. See, and even when we say that, negative, it's negative, or it needs the two charges. Put them together. That's the power. That's the way I feel. But when one is going, no, I'm better than you. That's like me going, oh, the positive is bigger than the negative, and it's like it doesn't make sense. We're not equal, and I don't mean that as like you're less.
No.
I mean destroy the word equal in your mind if you're a woman, and destroy the word equal in your mind if you're a man. Because when you both come together, power happens. That's the way I feel. That's the way we need to think. This is how we break the colonial perspective.
Absolutely. And I feel like another thing too is like this colonial perception is kind of based on kind of what you were talking about, Daniel, about how a lot of it is me, selfish.
Right, exactly. You
Selfish.
brought it
It's
back
about
to
like
it.
what can
Right.
you bring to better me, right? It's not about what am I doing to better you. So I feel
Right.
like we kind of got to come out of that break that whole mentality of like I'm just gonna better me, and based off of what I'm doing and the truth that I'm living is gonna attract that kind of energy. Whereas versus me searching out here for like, what are you gonna do to better me, and me like psychoanalyzing what this woman's gonna do. I feel like that's a lot of what's kind of going on with the youth right now. It's a lot of like, there's a lot of competition, and it's almost like women are kind of being treated as commodities, not as just what kind of value can they bring to me.
Right.
So I feel like that's something that a lot of the youth has to break out of. I'm guilty of that too sometimes.
Well, that's your Tezcatlipoca, and that's a big, I think what's interesting is the youth today, and I just think it's very interesting that you're all influenced by so many things, and like every time that you're looking at your mechanism, it's so crazy. Like in my time, there was nothing that really attracted us like that socially when we're out together, and now it just seems like everyone's got like this antenna, and I mean, not everyone, but I mean, I kind of trip out because I don't really carry my phone around when I go around, and I'm out and about sometimes, and it's kind of an interesting thing, how people like if you just dropped in here, and didn't know all the rules, you would just trip out. What are people doing? What do they see in that screen? And it's just a very, like, I'm just observing, and I'm not trying to judge it, but I just think, man,
It's a fact that kids nowadays, and someone like myself who's in the business of social media, there's not a day I can't be with my phone, bro.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not judging it. I think
And it's worse for my wife. I mean, my wife is on that phone every fucking day.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And think about it, like when
And then if you try to take the phone away from your wife, oh, good luck.
as technology evolved, we went from watching TV screens, and obsessing with commercials and TV screens and whatever they kind of programmed, to a TV screen that's smaller and that's your handheld, and you change the channel, like you have, you know what I mean? Like
It's instant.
it's just it's dopamine at its finest. You know what I mean? So now, and then you take what Daniel says, and what that dopamine is like, oh yeah, do whatever you want. Don't have no rules. This is, and there's so much of that. And if you don't know how to filter that, I was lucky to get into the spirituality practices that I have now. I think that's why this show is important, is because those are the tools that we use. When we say we want to be free, it's not about a protest and one day someone hands us a piece of paper and says, okay, guys, you guys are free. It's not that.
And if there's anyone watching us on the phone right now, dude, yo, shout out to you, bro. Like,
Yeah, no, of
we're
course,
not
of course.
here. We're not here trying to discourage our
No,
audience.
but it's not the
These
phone's not
fools,
the issue.
I'm watching them on the phone, dude.
You
But
think about
watching.
But
phone's not the issue. It's
what's
just
even
an instrument.
doper? What's even doper if you're streaming this on a TV? Because we have a lot of fans that send screenshots, right, Zero? Of there, like they're just chilling, watching us in bed or in the living room.
I mean,
that's super dope.
I'm honored to have anybody's attention, and to have to invite very strong men. I like to call you guys strong men. You guys are very strong men.
Hey, but you know what, too? I wanted to bring it back to your guest, man, because I remember having a good conversation with him, and I'll say this, man, what always fascinates me, and as much as I want to consider myself knowledgeable, I'm totally scared shitless about electricity, man. Like, I swear to God, like, and then he laughs, man. He knows, like, dude, hey, get an electrician, pay whatever, just get it fixed. And it's like, dude, speaking a whole different language, and so.
Yeah.
And in my cannabis background, and that's what we were talking about, and it's like, dude, a good electrician's hard to find. And then a good electrician who's cool and not going to call in, and, hey, they're doing this over there. You're like, oh, man, because that industry is just filled with these flag waving do-gooders, and it's like, oh, my God.
We're a different breed, man. As an electrician, even right now, one of the first things I did is I look up, and I'm always looking at the electrical pipes.
It's funny.
Like, are they under code?
Yeah, like they're missing a strap right there. Like,
But what's code, bro? Like, what is that? Just like what these humans instill on us when it comes to just authority?
regulations. They're just building regulations
For what?
for buildings.
Well, who are the people making the regulations? They're human beings, right?
Yeah, of course.
But ultimately, I would believe it would be in the interest of safety.
Safety. That's the
Safety, right?
It's supposed to be.
Safety
It's
first.
supposed to be.
There was a lot of electricians that were not licensed that were doing a lot of shady work, and that's the reason why these regulations came into place. As far as employees, we have to be certified by the state of California.
But I'm sure you could admit these people who put these regulations in place, there's lobbyists
Obviously, safety and of course, money. There's money
because there's money to be made.
yeah, of course.
That's crazy. Yo, so you're a electrician.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man.
A
Much
good
respect to all
electrician,
the
dude. He's
electricians,
good.
man. Because without electricians, this country wouldn't even exist. The whole world wouldn't even exist, bro.
He's a really smart cat, man. Like I really like the conversations we have. He's involved with a lot of the community and speak a little bit about what you do. Like too is like you do your thing with the community as well.
As far as the cop watching stuff,
Yeah, just whatever. You said you were at the protest and
well, I'm involved in the community. And earlier when you were talking about voting, yeah, like when it comes to voting for presidents, like I don't really give a fuck about that. We can really not vote on that. But I do believe in local voting when it comes to shit that's local to us, that's right here in front of our doors. That's the kind of voting that I do. And to be completely honest, does it really matter? Does it really count? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it at least informs the people and keeps the people informed of what's really going on in their communities.
I think when I get lost with city council and local government is that it takes a disciplined soul to kind of have the focus. That's why I never put my trust into politics, is because politics will never result into looking at yourself. Like, how well do you take care of yourself? It's more about like, well, I hold the chair and I convince these guys to fucking say.
But that's by design.
Yeah,
that's
of
by
course.
design. They make it so hard to understand that, in hopes that people are going to be like, I'm just not interested in politics because it's so complicated. They make it so complicated so that you're not involved and you don't even act on shit.
Did electricity exist 500 years ago?
I think they had different types of technology.
Did it exist 500 years ago? Daniel,
don't think so.
did
Not in the way
Oh,
that
I think we're
electricity
asking
exist 500 years
Gonzalo,
ago?
aren't we?
not the
And
way.
the thousands of years our indigenous people
I
were
was
just
gonna-
If we're
surviving.
going to talk about electricity, you got to understand that Tesla already figured out a way for it to be through the air. But was it Edison? I'm not sure. One of those investors said, we have a bunch of this wire we just fucking made. You're going to make it fucking through the air? No, we're fucking laying this wire down and we're going to make an industry out of it. You're fucking things up, Tesla. And so they take his patents and then they go on with the wire situation.
Well, Tesla's theories and Tesla's work is still present today, obviously, right? We're still running off of a lot of his inventions.
The cell phone
Yeah.
is something that he kind of.
But look, at Tesla was on his own shit. That guy was on something else, and it wasn't about money. So he was going somewhere else. And then the crazy thing is, Edison was about money, And the thing was, is that I remember historically, Edison like tortured some animals trying to show why his shit was better.
What he was doing, he was showing off DC current, DC, and he was
The
showing
evils of it, right? That was
Yes,
the opposite
yes.
of what he was doing,
And
right?
Tesla did the opposite. He put himself in a big old cage.
Right.
He was completely safe. Edison was traveling the country demonstrating how DC power is so strong by electrocuting elephants.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
crazy.
seeing something like
That's
that. Yeah.
You say the shit. I know. I remember what I remembered. I was thinking that was some sick shit. That people didn't like that. Who would like that? Like
Wow.
some of these people.
But is this what we are being powered with today?
No, we're being powered. What ended up happening is there was a Niagara Falls. They wanted to convert that to generate power, right? So Westinghouse, I think, he gave out a contract, and he's like, "Who can build this?" And Tesla ended up building an AC current instead of DC, direct current. That's what
And what does AC stand for?
alternating current. Alternating current. So it's current that's moving faster, and it's basically two waves, and they're going up and down.
Oh, I see.
And what's ACDC?
I believe that's a rock band.
Thank you, Gonzalo. I figured you'd know that. Hey, go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to ask.
Yeah.
Now, somebody in the comments has said, I'm an electrical life form.
What?
They said, I'm an electrical life form.
And
I think we all are.
That's real, though, when he talked about, I mean,
totally correct.
I guess
No, I say
electricity, when you think about it like that, electricity has been around since
Yes.
we've been here. We've had this,
Our
we
body.
have this, the body heat, we have a current.
Our bodies are
around us.
batteries. We're batteries.
Exactly. And we need charge too, so.
You remember the Matrix, right? They had us as batteries.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, we're in the
It's
system.
fucked up.
Huh.
And no Mexicanos in the Matrix. What the fuck?
They're racist.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Who's writing these stories?
I know.
Anyways,
what- We need you to write the next one, Daniel.
I don't well play their game. I'll do reality, homie. I'll do reality. I'll let them do fiction. No, I'm better at reality. I'm better at truth. Because you think about it, they're professional liars, homie. I don't want to be a professional liar.
Look, sometimes we have to have perspective about like what we're up against, right? Armando, do you think you could play that the link I sent you? Like now I'm gonna pull up this link about European history. And these are the guys that developed this Republican, Democrat, social system. And this is what they used to practice. Can you bring up is the chat, can people hear that?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and bring it up.
Okay. Give us a second. And, I came across this, let's see.
Go ahead, talk about it before I play it because
Right.
I'm
So-
gonna mute our channels and then let it play.
Okay. We got to remember that, people they go to the mall today and they buy a very expensive bottle of perfume. Right? They go, oh, damn, I got the fucking perfume of the fucking whatevers. Chanel. What's another one? Gucci. Whatever. And people don't know the history of perfume. Why was perfume invented? Do you know why perfume was invented?
I do.
I do not.
Dirty motherfuckers never showered.
Yep. It was to kill the smell.
Right?
It was to kill the
Because
smell.
they're like, I'm a king. Why the fuck do I need to take a shower?
But
Here,
also,
give me this.
remember, the Moors took
It's
showers.
this wonderful invention. It makes me smell better. Right?
Hey, but dude, the Moors took showers and they hated the Moors. They did everything the Moors didn't do.
The opposite.
It goes worse than that. And once we pull up this thing, you're going to hear, this is European history. This is so true. And then I'm going to explain how it affected us. This thing, how it affected us, if we can get it pulled up.
Medieval Europe. Not only were the streets filled with human waste, but their culinary habits were equally bizarre. At a feast from that era, you might have found mummies on the table alongside steak and bread covered in bird droppings, as well as pastries crawling with maggots. The scarcity of mummies today can be traced back to Europeans consuming them entirely. Medieval medical texts claimed mummies could cure a range of ailments from tumors and gout to the plague and even syphilis. Mummies were fried into steaks, ground into powder, used as seasoning for bread and wine, and even made into paint, mummy brown, leaving their mark on numerous famous paintings. Europeans dined on mummies from the 12th to the 20th century, spurred by a misunderstanding related to the medicinal pitch, leading to a craze for eating mummies that lasted until they began.
Crazy.
Crazy stuff.
All the shit they said we did.
Right?
Oh,
Okay.
We're the
now,
savages, right?
How is this relevant? How is this relevant? Okay, well, you think about the diseases that we caught when they came. They're coming with all that germs, all that feces, all that cannibalism. What they meant by the mummies was that they were actual cannibals, right? And they were very decorative, right? These people would put live animals into their bread because they wanted to cut the bread open to see the birds fly out and go, oh, look at all beautiful. But they don't think about the bread. The fucking bird is shitting in the bread. So they're eating all these bacterias and germs, and they're filthy when they get here. And they pass on these pathogens and viruses that we will just, it's not just, oh, they got chicken pox and they died. It wasn't that. It was that filth that they used to live in, bro. Yep. Okay, all the castles in Europe, guess what? They didn't build restrooms in the castles.
Ah, they throw it out the window.
No, they just would fucking walk, pull their pants down, shit, and keep walking. They didn't need restrooms. I'm not fucking around. Really, that's what happened. Okay, do you know those dresses, those big dresses that the women wear? Yeah, they kind of look like a hula hoop.
Yeah.
Okay, those were designed so the woman can pull down her trousers, take a shit, and nobody see her, and then she pulls her trousers back up, and then she can just walk away. That's why
you're not gonna smell it?
those dresses. So we're at there with the fucking quinceañera with the fucking shit dress on.
Oh my god, no, that's a sweet 16.
Or whatever it is that we're celebrating there.
It ain't a
That's
pizza,
where
yeah,
this
bro.
passion comes from. I'm not saying this to make fun of Europeans. What I'm saying this is when we start thinking about Democrat and Republican, those are the ancestors we're talking about. When you start talking about our ancestors, they're talking about a 500-year observation of Venus and how it applies to the earth and the community that we come from. There's your comparison, bros. And we're fucking stumbling over our own feet and we're arguing with our own women. This is their greatness. To live in their own shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have to come now in modern day and listen to their shit.
Right.
It just comes out of their mouth now.
But I mean, it's kind of crazy though. Think about it, Ruben. They came here and they didn't come here to learn or kind of, they came here with guns and shit. They didn't.
They
When
came
you
here to
come with a
take.
gun,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? So they're never. And what's crazy is my nephew was telling me today. It was kind of interesting. He said, "What? Why did they keep things in the Vatican? You know what they kept in the Vatican? They kept things in the Vatican that were science, that were progressive bits of knowledge, and they didn't want society to think that. They didn't want society to follow the truth of science because when you have religion, you don't need science. You have faith. And when you have faith, fuck, man. What else do you need?
Right.
You know what I mean? Think about it. That's why religion doesn't have a need for history, doesn't have a need for science, doesn't even think that women do anything. Back to that circle. You know what I mean? It's just 2,000 years ago, this creation said that man made everything, and all of a sudden the anus made everything. Like, no. But that's what they tell you, and if you wanna follow that, it's up to you, but we ourselves here, we were always matriarchal, women always were, like you said, the administrators, you'd send
But
them to do
it
certain
goes,
jobs, and we'd do the
but
other
it also too, like, so we look at those examples from Europe, and then we look at a modern day show, right? And they're in the fucking forest.
job,
The
right?
guy grabs a grub from the tree and he eats it. And you go, look how gross he is. That dude's gross. When these motherfuckers used to bake bread, put it out in the sun, the maggots are from the flies that fall on the shit from the animals.
I don't know, man, it's just a lot.
Flies that are in the bread, the delicacy that these Europeans fucking made,
I don't know, bro.
maggots,
Maybe I'm just a
is
native,
from
but
the
I don't like
shit. It's from the
I
animals.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
you're saying
don't
they
like the smell.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they put the bread outside. That's what they said. They put the bread outside and they let it sit there in the sun, and then all of a sudden the flies would lie on it and then lay their eggs. Well, where are the fucking flies coming from? Obviously the dog shit, the fucking horse shit, the sheep shit,
human shit.
I'm pretty sure.
shit. They shitting all over the place, and it's like. And then they come here and they learn hygiene, and then they go back to Europe and go, look, we're all clean now.
That's funny. Hey, Ruben.
Right? We don't just eat humans anymore because we can grow these turkeys. Right? We brought these turkeys from the Americas. Oh, we also brought this chocolate from America. And we also brought this coffee from America. And we also brought this tobacco from America. And all of a sudden, European history starts to change a little. Right? Because they're bringing the shit from us because they finally reached a culture that fucking knew what the fuck they were doing.
Right. Hey, Ruben, I was saying on the side, there's on the chat, have a Maravilla G, have her call in. She said that she wants to be on the podcast.
All right.
Hey, girl,
Okay.
call in.
What's
Call
the
it in.
number?
I want to hear it.
The
It should be
number
right
is
there. The number is
626-596-1033. Again, is 626-596-1033.
Call in. Absolutely.
1033, guys.
Anybody's welcome to be on this show as long as you're progressive and we're not debating. And remember, we're a family here. This is,
That's funny.
I'm not. If I said something that maybe struck in a bad way, I didn't say it.
Hey, but I think
put
we
it
got to
into
get back
a
to the homie there, man. I think he's got a lot of electrical knowledge. I had such a good conversation with him. But I was going to say this too, though. With the unspoken that when I first saw him, I thought, "Hey, what's fucking Raul? How come you didn't notice me, fucker?" And he's the spitting image of his brother Raul,
Not
chose.
that.
And
Come
so
on.
that guy,
No.
you know what I'm saying? I was like,
No,
"Hey,
no.
dude, why'd you notice me?" Like, oh man, I felt like such an asshole. But his brother's hella cool, man. And that guy, bless his heart, man. That guy is an artist,
What did she say in the chat? The girl said that she wanted to call. Is that?
No, I just said let's get a woman on the podcast. So I
Oh.
say, hey, have her call in.
Well, okay.
That's the only way I figured I can't get her on otherwise.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I mean, also too. I mean, just people have to be ready to. This one lady.
Anyone
called
that
in.
wants to call in, anyone that wants to call
Anyone,
in,
yeah.
feel free.
That's
This
just
is
626
the show.
596
You know,
1033.
we there's a lot on our plate, so we're just trying to make it entertaining for you. But I think the topics have been going good and they've been flowing well, and we're just trying to understand ourselves. Nothing that's said on the show is to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. That's the point. The point is that we need to come to a consensus where we feel comfortable to talk to each other. Because once we get to talk to each other, once the men and the women get together and they do it right,
right.
Dude, it's just in my world, Zero, in the hip hop world, as you know, I promote thousands of artists per year. It's all about Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sexual Predator, Meek
Damn, that
Mill,
sucks. That guy sucks.
having sex with Puff Daddy. His house just got raided, apparently, right?
right?
I heard his sons got arrested. To me, that's gaga, bro. Why would you let your sons get taken like that? That's not right.
Nah, they were just detained. They let them go. They let 'em
Good. But
There's
I
a
mean,
lot of
that's just,
distractions. These few next years, in my opinion, just do what's right. Follow your gut, Zero, right?
Work on yourself.
Absolutely. No, that's what we're all here for. Call in because we want those challenges too, right? We're firm believers in iron sharpens iron, and we want to grow with our viewers as well. So please call in, and we're not gonna take anything offensive,
No.
at all. This
This
is part of growing, right?
This is our community.
Exactly.
You know, like you guys, we're not the only ones that could say things on this platform. I hope that I could encourage that.
hey, but I think also, dude, think about it. I always try to say, man, when you look at nature, man, come on, you look at nature and you just see an example that our people followed. You know what I mean? And just the concept of this whole colonial perspective is a man. It's a man who thinks he fucking made everything. And he's in charge. Like personally, in my personal life, I'm experiencing that right now, and it's fucked up, man. The end result of that is not love. It's not success. It's not happiness. It's not. I'm sorry to let you know, but that's not the end of that road. And I think we were never part of that. We were in a world of harmony, of balance, of creation. Of like, think about it on this show. If you think about it, we don't talk about people. We talk about ideas and concepts because we vibrate at a different level. And so maybe that's why we're not where a lot of those people are, because they're at a vibration that's an individual. And for us, we're using our life experiences to gather our society, our community, and maybe provide a little bit of an easier path to things that maybe, like we say, sometimes you may feel lost in our own land, but the land will always recognize you. You'll always be at home here because,
The deeper connection you have with it,
and that can't be taken away, no matter how hard that you might see TV and these false lights that are foreign to you, but you just put your foot on the ground and walk, and even look up at the sky. Like if you look up at the stars and you ask the galaxy for advice, oh man, you'd be amazed that what comes back, and it's a filter that when you open it up, it just opens you up to a lot of possibilities, because I think when we look down, the world is so linear where we look up and it's just so many
and
voices.
that's a cool thing. There's a brother on IG that I follow, and he's really cool, man. He has a lot of knowledge, and he was Akasha. I think his name is Akasha. And whoever follows Akasha, I mean, you're a great student. But he said that in April, Sholot comes out.
That's cool.
And in that time, you allow Sholot to transform, right? He transforms himself. And so imagine having that rhythm, the count, right? The calendar count. And knowing that this phenomenon is happening where Venus is at night, is a night star. Because Venus can be a night star, or it'll either be Xolotl, or it'll be Tlahuizcal Pantecutli, which is the day. Right?
Or that little kid that looks like he's German.
My son. But my point is that, as Daniel said, you can go outside and look at the stars and just get this amazing reaction. And yes, but imagine if you do it on that day. Imagine if you do it in the nighttime when Xolo is out.
That's a good point too, because it's our celestial mother, right? So it's
You
like
got it. You got it.
it's if you're not in tune with even with your own mom, if you're not in tune with your mom, you feel naturally there's some kind of tension there. But if we take it a broader sense too, our Mother Earth, our celestial mother, if we're paying attention to her, naturally she's gonna nurture us in that way.
And that's how we're connected.
Right.
That's how we connect to the universe. Yes, we can go outside and go, oh, yeah, we're connected. But when we're connected through our abuelo's observation of stars and planets, the answers are there.
And
But
we
it's like-
have a caller.
And I was going to say, I was going to add to this. Imagine this, though. Imagine that if you think of that time and that the way we celebrate Christmas,
Maravilla
they
Giles.
celebrate it too, you know?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press
Uh-oh.
2.
But does that make sense that the way we celebrate Christmas, they would have celebrated that time in Charlotte. So the community would have already been celebrating this. It would have been something that was part of your
Exactly.
communal connection that it would, because we've just lost track of those ceremonies and rituals. They're still going on, and many people are still carrying them on, but it's just we've kind of fallen out of them. But it's kind of like I said, in the morning when you wake up, you burn your shade.
Hello. I think you are on air.
Hello.
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 Yes.
Wow, that was a good. Who are we talking to?
Who are we talking to?
It's Maravilla. It's Maravilla.
Wow, well, that was a
What
now
up?
that was a nice
What up?
request.
Is this Maravilla? Is this Maravilla from
God.
Maravilla from Riverside?
Well,
From
nice
San
to
Bernardino.
get
San
you
Bernardino.
on the show.
All right, I know who
Uh-huh.
this is. Right on, sis. I'm glad you called in. You always have good opinions, man. What's up?
Thanks. I just wanted to like uplift what Daniel was talking about. Because I've been listening to the past few podcasts and like about uplifting like all voices in the pod, and I just wanted to like, I guess, agree and like toot the feminine horn of like, yeah, like women do really make good administrators, and like I'm just curious like what perspectives y'all are looking for from women, because like we usually when we're like exploring things on the podcast, it's like not in a bad way, but from a very masculine perspective, and like it's just fun to like live that homoteo of like, you know, this is one perspective of it, this is a whole nother. So I'm just like down to get in it with y'all.
And sometimes, you know, sometimes it just I feel it on the podcast. You know what I mean? Like there's no one thing that we're looking for, because who's to say what that energy is? I think it's your energy. I mean, you're the one that picked up the phone and said, "Hey, man, what kind of energy are you looking for? What perspective are you looking?" I have no idea, because I'm not a woman. That's my point. I will never, you'll never catch me saying this is, you know, I can't. I just, there's something in my spirit, in my soul, maybe in my practices, maybe in my genetics that
I wonder for y'all, like, where do y'all, especially as, you know, spiritual men who want to be really positive leaders in the movement, like, where do y'all find the femininity in your life, your practice? Like,
okay, well,
how do you embrace
I'll
that?
say this, girl, is that I myself, differently than you, I was a woman and I became a man. Okay? And so I understand that. I don't, so that's where I am with it. I understand. I understand that as a man, I was a woman, I became a man. And so that's the way the creator, my creation story tells me, talks to me. And then in my life, like I always talk about, my mother. My mother taught me everything. I was my mother's mini me. And so to me, and the things, but here's the thing, I total respect to my brother Zero. He wasn't raised the way I was raised, you know, and it's just,
true.
and it's why we're different. And
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
and it's just so interesting, like how we find femininity even when we weren't raised with it all the same way, you know?
of course. But it's many. What is femininity? You know, I can't. You know, who owns that? You know, but I think
women have an opinion on that. I think.
well, an opinion.
Oh
but
yeah,
that's,
femininity is creation. It's
yes.
art. It's expression. Like, I love that part of it.
You know, it's crazy, because I think your question was like, you know, how do we find femininity? And honestly, I don't want to find it. I don't. I feel like if I could picture, if I could put what you're asking me into a picture, it would be like a jaguar playing with a butterfly and trying to figure out what it is, and then letting it.
Well, but I love that. Like, that's the image of like Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, like
Right.
together, right? Like when you really think about it, like Quetzalcoatl moves much like a butterfly.
Right. And you're trying to
That's
figure out,
cool.
like,
That's true.
our job is, the journey is to try to figure out what that is. And we're just kind of pawing at it because we're a certain way. We're a certain way. There's nothing that's going to change us from being this, right? Potentially dangerous, things of that nature. But if we could just be like this individual that forgets the power when we're interacting with this beautiful being that we're trying to figure out what it is. If I do this, it goes up. And if I put my hand up, it lands on it. Like, that's an amazing exchange. I think that's the exchange that men and women should have, in my opinion. That's just me.
With
At
like a
least
gentle admiration.
just trying to figure it out. Not because imagine if the jaguar tried to grab it, it'd kill it, right? But if it's just if it's pawing at it and it knows that it needs to be gentle because it could hurt it, then that's more of a self-control that we as men need. We need that self-control. We need it. And the women reassure
So like the
us.
femininity plays like a model of that self-control or encourages that.
Right, because I agree with what Daniel says. I was once a woman, now I'm a man. Okay, he has a different perspective than what I feel. Right? I have a different life, a different energy, a different connection, a different tonal, a different everything. You know, I picture my interaction with women as me being a jaguar in the jungle and just pawing at it and just being amazed at the color of it, how weird it flies. Like, look, I put my paw out and it landed on me. Like, it didn't fly away. Like, and it's climbing up my arm now. That's weird.
That's a potent image.
Like,
yeah,
that's because when women give you a kiss on the cheek or they give you a hug, it's like that. And we're trying to figure out this emotion that comes with it. So
can I say, to me, that my mom's the jaguar and I'm the little jaguar pup.
Yeah.
See, I kind of connect a little bit with what Daniel was saying because I grew up in a house full of women, right? I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, I have sisters. My father wasn't around, so for me, being in tune with the femininity side is really honoring them, right, and carrying a piece of what they instilled in me in my everyday life, right. So not having this like, oh, I have to be hard all the time and walk around like I know it all, but no, like being humble at the same time and just wanting to learn from all women and just being open to women, I guess. And that's kind of how I walk along with that question, like just learning from women and being a student from women, because I feel like naturally there's something there when I interact with the woman, there's already an energy there. So how to learn from that and how to grow from that, I guess would be my answer to your question.
Yeah, and I love like thinking about femininity as like contemplation kind of, and like moving slowly and intentionally. Whereas like masculinity is like the ability for decision and to make that quick decision for safety, for growth, for all of it. But like, yeah, you spoke to that really beautifully.
But you answered my question. I was going to ask you, what's masculine?
Yeah,
masculinity is like,
I gave you an example of like what I felt like, and obviously, look, here's the weird thing, guys. I was raised by my grandmother. My mother was in my life all of my life. I have 2 sisters. It's not like I don't have I've come to realize at my age, at 49 years old, that I know nothing about them. I fucking know nothing. I may think I know something, but I know nothing. And it humbles me. It makes me feel better to say that. No matter how many women I'm raised, I'm a man. If I get upset, I could be out of control and punch a hole through a wall. I'm not going to deny that just because I was raised with women. That's not. We were talking about somebody who murdered his wife and tried to murder himself because he went crazy. We can't forget that. That's not, I hope I didn't say any names or anything like that, but that's my point, is that we can get to that point where, what the fuck? He killed his wife and then he tried to kill himself? Who does that?
Hey, but can I say something, Ruben? And I'll say
somebody who's been psychologically messed with. That's who does that.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell you something straight right now,
That's
man.
extreme. Yeah,
This
go.
is straight about me. You'll never hear a story about me punching a wall, ever, ever, ever. Like that to me. And I'm not trying to belittle you, brother. I'm not saying that because I've seen that happen many times, and it just what's funny to me is your son coming with his and like, gee, what'd you do, son? And that's your son, Zero. I'm just going, oh my God. The seed don't fall far from the tree, but that's so we're our ancestors, and I was blessed, and again too, it's not a judgment of anybody else, but I never saw my dad put his hand on my mother ever in my life.
Mm.
So
And I think like that's masculine power, Daniel. Like masculine power is like the knowledge of your power and the wisdom to like almost not use it sometimes.
well, I've never put my hands on people, and I think I influence, and so I've known that, and I think once you do that, the argument's done. You lost. You lost.
Like I completely, I get it. Believe me, I'm not. The example that I put a jaguar and a butterfly is because I know that a jaguar can just put his paw on it and it's done. It's done.
Yeah, but
Without
it
even
was a
trying. He
beautiful
didn't have to
image
be
of that they were-
aggressive. He
yeah.
didn't have to like the know-it-all guy that you were describing is the jaguar that just I'm gonna smash that shit because what is relevant? But the curiosity and the interaction between something delicate and something that can potentially be dangerous. We snap. Everyone snaps. Everyone snaps. If someone says the right thing, you'll snap.
Right. But do you snap like do you fuck yourself up, or do you snap and just And so I think like you don't gain nothing from punching a wall with your
No,
fucking hand,
but that'll be up to the person going
right?
through
Well,
that emotion.
maybe I still you're gonna hard prove to me that anybody gained from punching a wall, but okay, and
I'd rather
you,
punch
you
a wall than punch the person that was in front
right,
of me who happened
right,
to be a female. It's just like,
True.
right. But
no, I'm not
I
gonna do
just say don't
that. But
punch.
like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes this is the hard discussion that men and women
No,
don't have.
right? No, we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
We have to understand that what a woman tells us can make us snap. It's like in the wild. In the wild, in a pride of lions, if the alpha male is mating with someone and someone else mates with that female, the alpha male will kill that female.
Fortunately, we're not lions.
I'm just saying.
Oh, thank God, right?
I'm just saying
I hear what you're saying,
that's
brother.
a very
Jaguars
extreme.
instead.
That's a very extreme. Now, but take that metaphorically in a person that has the potential to hurt someone, and we're going, oh, whoa. What if that female said something very triggering to that individual because they have kids, right? And you're going to destroy my entire life. Like, hey, I want a divorce. And no one even, what? What do you mean? I didn't even know you didn't like me.
Well, I
Instant reaction from a man is, I'm going to, what?
Well, but I would say the same thing, but in
Do you see, like, I don't know. Am I explaining myself wrong?
Yeah.
Not
no,
every-
you're doing perfect.
This
You're
is
doing perfect.
interesting.
No.
That's what self-control
We're,
comes
we're,
in.
I mean, like, I feel like we're really getting into the into the in between. Like this is the dissonance that like we have to learn to hold as warriors. I think, or at least I've
Oh my
come to
God, good
understand
word,
is like
dissonance. Hold on, you can't,
like
girl, you can't just
like
throw
right in
words out
between.
there
Like
like
that's
that.
where we learn, though. Like we
Right.
have to talk about it.
Right.
Well, I was gonna say
It's
this.
uncomfortable, but we have to talk about it.
Right, no, right. I was gonna say this though. What he's saying, I say the same energy, but I feel like a woman's voice stopped me from doing stupid shit. I think the woman's voice, instead of driving me crazy, chilled me out, and they made me go mellow because again too, I was raised my best friends were these two twin girls, and they were, these cool homies, but I was blessed to just have two homies that were girls, and then man, they just would just calm me from being so mad sometimes because and it, truth be told, and they knew how my dad and I were just like this growing up, and it was my dad's macho-ness and my mom trying to protect me, but it's like a girl's voice, man, made me feel not so mad. It's just, that was my,
I like think about. Oh, go.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's it. You know, instead of setting me off, that voice kind of, softened me a bit, and I felt like I needed that softening.
Hmm. Yeah, there's like so much value in that. Like I think about Qualique
Mhm.
and like the duality of femininity that like she holds were both in like incredible power, right? Like the power of creation.
Yes, exactly.
And like the power of nourishment, but also like Homegirl was like the defender,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask
She
you,
knew when to
how does the
throw down.
warrior? How do you feel the
Needed to.
warrior or the woman? Yeah, how do you describe that? But there, you got it, man. I mean, you beat me to the punch.
And that's what I mean. And
In my experience, dude, like, yes, I've could admit I probably punched a hole in the wall, but it was because
Me
she
too,
either
y'all.
robbed me or, no, like, she either fucking extorted me or some shit.
Hold on. No, truth be told, I think I said
Like,
this
like
before.
Daniel, like now, I'm gonna be real, Daniel. Like, I'm hearing you've never punched a hole in the wall, but you're single, right? Imagine you with you get with the chick, and out of nowhere, your whole bank account is just
You're so
gone,
good.
depleted.
it's gone.
Oh
Best
my
believe,
God.
best believe, Daniel. I'll provide the wall for
And
you,
then
bro.
says, "I'm with your best friend."
No, wait, hold on. Oh my God. Hold on, but the thing is, bro, I remember, kid you not, dude, working with Ruben, and he can tell you this. We worked with adults with mental disabilities, and I shit you not, one of my first things that I fixed, Ruben, what did I fix in their houses?
I don't remember.
Fucking guy, were the holes in the wall.
Oh, yeah, the holes in the wall.
Because they were putting holes in the wall, and to me, dude,
Look.
that doesn't fly with me. Okay,
And and you're completely
point,
right.
good point.
And I get what you're saying. You're saying
and I hope you do, because I don't want to sound
no,
crazy.
no. And I don't want to sound crazy either. I don't want people to think that I just go around punching holes. It's like,
I don't think anybody thinks that.
I don't-
No, we're
think-
not. We're not. We're not.
I'm saying I have I know the fragility of my mind. I know that I was taught in a very patriarchal way. I'm trying my best to not live in that space.
You're funny.
But when, we use psychological warfare against each other, because women don't have the physicality to go up to us and, just duke it out. They have to use other means.
Yeah, but Ruben, they don't need it. I mean, I used to teach kids. I used to teach elementary kids, and I tell you, man, the little boys, they have issues. Okay, no problem. The little girl started to harass another little girl. Oh my God, I could not fix it. I do what I can, but I couldn't make these little
It's
girls
a
like
whole
just
different kind of warfare.
totally.
Hey,
It's like it hurt my
And I
heart.
can admit,
Maravilla's funny.
I've
It
met
hurt my
females-
heart, man. She knows. She knows.
And, and I can admit, I know females that punch walls themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
It's funny. We're back to the
Yeah.
punchy walls.
You know me.
But hold on, can I say this? Ruben, what happens? I taught our patients with mental disabilities to stop punching the wall.
Right.
Once I said, hey, bro, you're paying for that. I swear to God, he'd be like, oh, and he'd just stop. And bro, there's supposed to be mental disabilities. And you know what's funny? All of a sudden, these people are putting it together. They ain't punching
Add
walls no
monetary
more.
value to it.
But there's a comment here about marriages. Are any marriages perfect, Zero? Like, let's be real. I'm married. It's not perfect, but I love her to death.
Look.
No, and like that's the growth. Like that's like the beauty of like
Good point.
union is like you're not perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
Right.
You know, it would not be homoteo.
That's
It wouldn't be.
like that was my analogy of the jaguar and the butterfly, was that
I see
I
it.
don't know what it is, but it's fascinating me. It's fascinating me so much that I want to be so gentle around it, because any move, I could smash it. You have to be that's how delicate the woman is. That's the way I feel. Because she
Man, and I
revolves
challenge all y'all to be that butterfly.
because of the emotion.
Be that butterfly.
That emotional fragility that they have, right? So it's gentle. You have to be gentle with it, And my point of that we can punch a hole through a wall is that men sometimes don't know that boundary. We're trying to figure that out, right? What that boundary is. Like, we want to like redefining what protection from a man means is not I'm big and strong and I'll fight someone for you. Protection is I'm going to teach you how to cook this stuff that I know how to cook, and this is the best strategy on doing this thing over here in this house. I'm using all of my intellect and feeding her and growing her and giving her the tools that she needs. That's protection. Protection is not, who's out there? Let me go fuck him up. That's not protection.
No, yeah, protection is nourishment. I think Zero. I think that's you. That's your femininity.
Whoa.
I think that's some femininity in you, dude. Because that's how I see feminine protection is like nourishment and like letting somebody grow, like really giving them the things that they need to like be their strongest self.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to add in this. Okay.
I didn't see that. Thank you.
Bag. Okay. I used to have a punching bag that I'd hit the
Like
bag.
I got overwhelmed with emotion right there. Like, what do you mean?
Hey,
That's feminine.
But does that make sense? Like,
They're gonna hand me a tissue right now. I'm about to buy it.
We had a breakthrough moment.
see what the woman's presence does to you, brother.
I love it, bro. That's why I'm
Look,
begging.
guys.
Maravilla, you're gonna have to be a part of the show now. See, because look at what you're drawing out.
It's part of the show.
Well, I just recently got married.
What? I didn't even know.
Yeah. But apparently, if I ever get divorced,
Dude, why
the
would you
rules
even
of,
say
rules of
that?
California, like she
my
she
God.
could take my whole bank account.
Oh my god.
Just half, not the whole
That's
thing.
crazy. That I feel like that is Western patriarchy. Pitting us against each other
Which is
through
Yeah,
money.
that's true.
Don't get me started on that.
no. That's a great point because
But unless she divorces me, then I'm in the free. See how that works?
If she says that you're the problem,
No, yeah. Like apparently it's there's rules in California and LA. It's some weird shark Tank shit. Like
But bro,
Yeah,
but that's
like-
like driving a car in your street going, I wonder if I'm gonna get in the
because I hired a lawyer. I had a consult with the lawyer because I'm a blogger. I run a very successful blog and there's assets involved, right?
Yeah,
and
to make sure.
I had to ask a few questions and they're just like, yeah, man, like
Damn,
in California, like if you're a provider and let's say some shit goes south or you get caught doing some stupid shit and there's a reason for the judge to she wins whatever the fuck it is, like apparently half of it is hers or some shit
And what was your lawyer's-
at best 100% is
That's-
hers.
What was your lawyer's
It's
advice? What did he
funny.
tell you?
go ahead. brother,
It's
I'm in.
it's the rules of the land, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, in the chat, they're saying to put that account in an offshore.
All my lawyers said this.
Like P. Diddy.
Oh, my lawyer did say, if you love her,
The
marry her.
abogado said.
That's it.
Well,
if you love her,
okay,
you marry
okay,
her.
okay,
Because
so I have something to say
there's a
about
business there's a business in
But financially, it wasn't a good idea.
right.
Well, here's what I have to say about that. But first, I want to hear what Maravilla has to say. Maravilla, you said something, right?
Oh, I was just gonna laugh and joke that like it's really funny that like women, if I'm hearing you right, like that women kind of get the better end of the deal sometimes when like women are better at business anyway. But that was a joke. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got it.
Look. You can't do homework after the fact. It's like being a Monday morning quarterback.
quarterback, yeah.
Monday morning quarterback is more along those lines because remember our decisions, they're not just at the whim, especially when you come in union with someone. So that's something that it's not about like, she gets half or this and that. You better have made the right decision because the next 5 to 10 years you're going to be figuring that out.
5 to 10.
I'm just
because at that point you're not gonna be like, no, I'm
Oh my
not cool with
God.
this. No
But
more.
I grew up in a household zero. I was raised by a single mom. I saw the whole divorce thing, and then the children get in the mix, and then there's custody battles. Just thank God I don't have children yet.
That's-
because that's a whole different level, Zero.
But that's what I mean.
I
Hey,
can't
bro, but you're a
compare.
success story, man. I
Yeah.
say, hey, your
No,
story's
that's
not
what I
done
mean.
yet.
That's what I mean. When you make a good decision, like that's the whole discussion. We're making these decisions, and we don't really even know how the other side feels. You know, we don't have a good comprehension of like what we're asking Maravilla to do. We're putting on like 1 billion pounds on her and going, hey, what is it? What do you think? You know, it's like
He's holding up
like
good.
4 dudes. And,
She's speaking
and
for the
Maravilla's
entire
going,
female
hey, you know
race.
what? My
It's really
female
good.
thing. But I mean, I just, it doesn't take many butterflies to convince, who's on this, in this platform, how, because you're a genuine person, I feel, and you speak freely and you're honest and whatever traits you grew up with are apparent. But you are very connected to your feminine side, and that's why I'm happy that you called. And we still just need to get
I
better.
felt called to.
Yeah, no,
Hey, but I was
I'm
gonna ask,
glad you did. I'm glad you
what's your
did.
background, Maravilla? What's your parents? Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Southern California, from San Bernardino, and I had both my parents.
Okay,
I had both my parents, but it
not a
wasn't perfect.
surprise.
I feel like I had to learn about femininity, but I grew up in a home and in a family where we were very matriarchal.
Oh wow.
So it's normal for me to know my power, to know that I would be the head of a household. And so that's why I feel really called to call in sometimes. And I'm like,
You should.
well,
That's
there is like a masculine perspective on femininity,
good.
and I would love to hear some two-spirit people go off. I would love to hear like that perspective too, because like that's a whole other way to hold duality. But yeah, a lot of my experience is very matriarchal.
That's interesting. But that makes sense. We well, fortunately for you, that's a good. But some people grow up with not so much matriarchal, but trauma, some form of trauma, and it's like they carry
You
that too.
know,
And so it's part of
and
that.
I mean, like I can't even speak to that.
Right.
And that's good. That's good that you can. Oh, that's super good. I mean, I say that too a lot of times, and I think I didn't come from such a broken home, and so man, it's just I find I have a lot of coping mechanisms that maybe a lot of people didn't grow up with.
I mean, and the ones, I mean, the disparity between those that didn't and those that did, I mean, is great. And then you break down like the severity of the trauma that comes with those homes, and that's what I mean. It's like you gotta make good decisions. When you become a union with someone, it's not that you're like, oh, you're fucked up because you left. No, because I thought I made a good decision. And that's why it's better to wait later in life to do, in my opinion. Wait, like Armando did a great job. Like, I mean, he's in the prime age to go, hey, you know what? I want some, I'm getting along with this person. I want to be with her all the time.
Yeah, my decision was realistically based off of, I
You
just
love her?
No, I partied too much. I partied too much. I partied way too much, and I was done with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm about to hit my 40s, and I'm just like, why not? Like,
And you love her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep.
She completes you.
Yes, sir, man. No, it's
She helps you
Yeah.
see the
She
brightness of
makes
the
you a better
world.
man.
Right.
I think the chat wants to know. They said, Mondo,
works-
give us some pointers, broski.
She works the doors at all of our hip hop shows,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's good.
The one thing I could say about his partner is that she's very involved in what Armando does, and that's a good thing.
But it all falls to like something that Daniel said was very important though. The majority of relationships fail if they don't respect your realistic commitments in life. Like I live in a surreal world. I wake up every morning, and apparently, Zero, I feel like I have a commitment every morning, dude. Because as you know, there's just hundreds of dudes hitting me up
Right.
for services,
Sure.
promotional services. So I have that commitment, and I explained here. Do you understand this? Like I'm a national, globally, a globally recognized brand that does journalism, and that's a big commitment, right, Daniel?
Yeah, bro, but but not everybody gets to do that, brother. That fell to you.
Yeah.
And
Like, how does your union like push you forward or make you feel like stronger in that? Like,
right.
Well, she's asking.
It fulfills all my needs because
That's cool.
now I have a purpose to continue the commitment. But if anyone interrupts that commitment, then it's over with. And that was my issue prior, with relationships, that they just didn't understand, a man's commitment. And like how Daniel says, maybe his path is single now because they just don't understand his commitment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sad about
Like,
it.
as an electrician, you have major commitments, bro. It's not like you can just meet a chick and then she'll tell you, "Hey, dude, just stop being an electrician." You'll be like, "What the fuck?"
That's why I made the example of a jaguar and a butterfly, because they're two opposite things, you know. And the butterfly is choosing to fly around the jaguar. You see, it's curious just as much as the jaguar is curious of the butterfly. It has to be like, called, I believe, a connection. Whatever that connection is.
No, you're right.
And
You're right.
that's what we're focusing on when we make that decision to be a union with someone.
It's knowing how to cultivate that connection too, because I feel like if you never, as a man, if you never had someone or any kind of role model to show you how to
Right. That's
do
true.
that connection, then you're gonna come out as a jaguar, just hitting that
Exactly.
butterfly, killing butterflies left, and
Yeah.
right, and then complaining like, "Why is there so many dead butterflies around me?"
The butterfly killer.
You got the
You're
butterfly
so right. You're so right that I think a
Not
lot
the
of young
butterfly
men.
Well,
killer.
we got way too masculine on this. Bring us back to that feminine, you know. We got way too masculine on
Well,
that
we
one.
need
gonna
more
mention earlier.
feminine like advice and friends, man. That'll just tell us, "Hey, fool, don't do that." You know, like
I was gonna mention earlier when you were saying how you're curious about the butterfly and it lands on you. I was gonna say, how many did you smash before you realized?
Exactly. No.
How
Raining.
many did you smash?
You know, yeah, you're right. No, because that's the process.
Yeah.
That's the process. You know what I mean? And we all want to walk in a straight line right off the bat. But remember, we're coming off a very traumatic experience. And it didn't just happen with your family. It happened you think you grew up in a broken home just because you got the bad luck in 2024? No. This has been going on for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah.
We got in.
That's why I think like if we keep thinking that we're gonna walk in a straight line there and we literally worship the spiral, we have to recognize like we're gonna meet these same challenges with femininity at like different portions in your life. And it's like, what do you do with each of those opportunities and experiences? Like maybe you killed that first butterfly, right?
Right.
But then like it's the learning through it and then like the repair, you know, like
Right.
what are you gaining when you've taken that life? Like what are you giving back? And in that, you know, completing the metaphor, when you like, you know, end up betraying or hurting or like walking away even from femininity, like then what do you do to bring that back to yourself too?
I mean, the interaction between the two creatures is the curiosity. We have to focus on the curiosity between these two things that are interacting, right? When you call someone or text someone back, you're curious. If you go on a date or get into a relationship or get married, you know, the curiosity of your life is kind of spinning you guys together. That's my opinion. We're trying to go, oh no, a good marriage is this. Not such a thing. Sometimes you're interacting with that butterfly and it flies away. You never see it again.
You got to know when to accept it, let it go.
A different creature is my point. Is it fair to say that? How do you feel about a male saying that a woman's just a different
Like,
creature? Something so foreign.
I get it, but it's like I feel, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful by this, but like I feel as if anyone who claims that they are one or the other is missing it. Is like missing like creator. Like creator is both, right? And so I think like when somebody says that we're two different things or that we're not the same thing, it's more like 30-70 or, you know, like I'm like, you know, I hold these masculinity in me or I carry this femininity in me as the jaguar or, you know, as a butterfly, as a female, like as a woman, like I'm a very masculine woman. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't really think we are that different, but I understand the difference in energy. And so when we talk about femininity, masculinity like that, like, yeah.
but we're different in every aspect. The way you think is totally different. Your physicality is completely different.
You know,
Your depth and emotions completely different. I'm not trying to discredit or debate. I'm just saying.
No, 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 no. We're exploring.
no, I was gonna say I
Oh,
think
that
the
like my answer to my answer to someone's like I take like me going, oh, I'm take pride in my femininity that I learned from my mom. But you go around your homies, and then he'd be like, dude, why ain't you fucking standing that way, bro? Like, like, oh, well, my mom stands that way, and like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, and
you're
I-
embracing a femininity that's like private, but when you get around the group, the dynamics shift. Now, I'm not saying that I'm totally masculine, like, hey, look at that girl over there. I look at myself as someone that is in his space. I figured out what my roots, how deep my roots go. So then why wouldn't I show Sky how to make his roots go deep? But just as a male, as my experience, I can't speak for females. You know what I mean? Like
No, yeah,
I've just
definitely.
conceded. I conceded that they're just complete. You guys are just completely different.
And this is why the show is so powerful, man. This is a great female perspective. Like, for as much as I respect
think, like-
Daniel's perspective and Zero's perspective, man, this
And they're
homegirl's
different. Her perspective is different than mine, and Daniel's different than mine.
they all
I
exist.
love
They
it.
all exist in the same space. They're just a different perspective,
Yeah. And see how we
And
can
it's like-
exist as a family. That's the beauty.
But you know how I see it in 2024 with how society is, a female today, if she's with it, she has to have thick skin, man. Like, or else it's
Ooh, we gonna talk about the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
Make
point.
no assumptions.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I was gonna say in terms of male, female, at least for me, I kind of think of my garden. Okay, I grow cannabis, and so for me, growing cannabis, I use the female plants. If and so I mean, I have males in there, but I mean, that's not what I grow a lot of. The males, for me, the way I grow, they're necessary, and so that's just the way I have my garden. But I've got maybe 50 plants and one male. That's it, and so, but those female plants have different characteristics, but they're female. And if they weren't female, I wouldn't have them in there. It's one male too many. And so, to me, in terms of that nature of them, is that those female plants do a job in their nature that, and some of them might be more masculine, feminine. You could describe them, but it's just those flowers have different traits about them, but they're all female, and their end point is they make flowers. They're the creators. As much as their characteristics are, they come together to create more flowers. And so that's part of for me, I look at that as that nature. And I think kind of maybe for us, it's a different metaphor, but it's the same way is that wherever our femininity masculine takes us to where our creation will go, and some people are meant to create, some people are meant to just, live a life of or not that creation. And that's okay. Every spiral has its journey, and it's not for me to say, but I've learned in this conversation that I realize I have my preferences, and those are just my preferences, and my preferences come from how I was raised. At the same time, fortunately, I learned that the world is filled with so many different preferences, and so I like that. I like that better than to say, oh, well, to put it more in a linear fashion. But I take it to my garden, it's just I see those two, and the females help me. They're the ones that that's where my passion is.
I guess before
I want to ask really quick. Okay, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Daniel, like, are there male and female? And I'm just going in. I totally agree that like masculine and feminine energies are different. I think like when it comes to people, like we have to embody both. But
Right.
I was gonna ask, like, do flowers have both feminine and masculine qualities in the same plant? Like the same
Okay,
plant?
listen. Only the advanced ones. Only the advanced ones. The advanced ones get to a point to where if they're not pollinated, they'll pull out a male pollen. They'll grow a male pollen sac because it's
They'll
so
grow like a
advanced.
stamen, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, but here's the beauty of it. So that plant will pollinate itself. Okay. But if you're growing other plants around it, that male pollen will pollinate other plants and not a single male will grow in those seeds. It's not genetically
Wow,
possible.
nature.
Right, but exactly, but these are more your indica plants, more the plants that are very old genetically, and people will say, "Oh, that's a Hermie." It's like, "No, man, it's not a Hermie. It's a female, and it gets to the point where it's gonna die, so it decides to just pollinate itself." Now that it'll just give 1 or 2 seeds, that seed will drop in that pot, and the next full moon, that seed will pop, and so, again, dude, this is from experience, and so I love it. I love the way, but you're right though. But understand this. But that male female happens through stress because the plant thinks it's going to die. It's not the best thing to happen because you don't want flowers filled with seeds. You really don't. There's nothing to consume.
Mm.
And so, but again, too, it's just. But it happens in nature, and believe it or not, I remember taking human genetics, and the same thing happens in humans. It's just that the numbers are minuscule. But they happen.
Mhm.
They happen. But I hope
I,
that
like,
answers
I
your
wonder
question.
that like applied metaphysically too.
I'm sorry.
I mean, but
I wonder about
think
like
about how that plant got that way. That plant had to
mhm.
force itself to
Well,
be
did it
that.
have to, or was genetics already good enough to allow that to
Well,
happen?
it didn't have other male pollen. So it
Right.
detected that. So it forced itself to be that. It
But
wasn't
those
like,
are
oh,
advanced plants.
this harmonious, like, oh yeah, let me make myself up,
No, but that's
make
what
myself
happens
a
if you
seed.
grow like 5 pounds of weed and you'll get like 10 seeds in the whole batch. It's like, wow, how'd that happen? But those 10 seeds will not be
That
male
plant forced itself to
to create
pollinate
itself. Yeah.
itself.
Something
It
happened. Something
forced
happened to that
itself.
plant.
It
But
was
remember, cannabis
isolated.
is an advanced plant.
Yeah,
It's
but
been here much longer than
something
us.
happened to that plant that caused it to think it was gonna die, which made it.
Well, it was drying
It
out,
forced
man.
itself
It's at
to
the
do that.
end, it's
You get
like,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
no, but it's stress. It's
Like,
stress that the plant, it detects stress and then it just kind of.
But that could happen in a room or in a field full of plants, right? And
Right, exactly.
they're all
It's
going through the
nature's way.
same.
right.
Yeah.
Nature's way of surviving.
And that's I think my point is going to be iterated like in a natural state, right? In a natural state, you'll have males and females, right, in the same field, right? And one pollinates and the other receives, right? And so what I'm trying to say between males and females is that if I focus in on the feminine side of myself, then I'm erasing the male side of myself, right?
Right?
Instead of
Erasing it. What do you mean?
instead of trying to learn the opposite, right? She's learning me and I'm learning, I'm learning her and she's learning me in this infinite exchange of information. Instead of trying to go, I learned this from her, so now I'm going to act this out in my life. No, it's just a curiosity that interacts forever. The curiosity is what keeps you together. Once you become uncurious, then you leave. Once the butterfly goes, oh, I'm tired of him pawing at me, I'm out. Sometimes that jaguar will be walking around that jungle and there's there's a butterfly on his head.
You didn't even know it.
Right. Right. Hey, is our guest
He's
still there?
curious enough. I think she had. Yeah. Sorry about that, Maravilla.
Shout out Maravilla.
Hey, that was good having her
Hey man,
on.
good conversation, man.
That was dope.
It had to happen sometime.
Yeah. No, man, thank you so much for calling, man. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that we're two different creatures and it doesn't sound sad or isolated. We both have the opportunity to interact if we like to. Right? And
Absolutely.
then we don't force things. That's what creates the friction and the bad dysfunction and toxicity that we call. Like right now we're uncomfortable. It's like, oh yeah, I want me a toxica, right? Like, right? That's the cure, right?
No toxicas
No,
anymore.
I don't
But
think so.
everybody talks about it like if it's like normal, like, oh my God, yeah, she's just a toxica. And like it's normal to be out of your mind, out of control. That's what I think of it. Like
Well, that's why
toxic.
people.
Like it's not, it's like when someone goes, oh, that's crazy. Like, and then you define crazy and you're like, wow, really? Is that what I'm using to describe this? And then you describe a woman, she's like, oh yeah, I'm a toxica. It's like, whoa, don't take pride in being that. That we're trying to untangle all that stuff because we don't come from shit.
We
We
don't.
don't come from that example that we brought from Europe. We come from a very sophisticated, we had restrooms, we had showers for us fucking thousands of years.
Right.
We didn't bump into it all of a sudden. This is what I'm talking about. So if we had that hygiene, that level of society, then we had a good relationship with women.
For
We
sure.
didn't have the relationship with women, nor they were dominant from us, or nor we were dominant from them, but we were in this curious state. And we respected good opinions.
But also, too, Ruben, women guarded our homes, man. Come on. And what was more important than your home?
Yeah, that's true.
know?
Raising your children.
No, because when you come home and the home is the home, then you know.
Yes.
Like, you know what it's like. 'Cause you used to come to my home all the time, and
Right, brother. Exactly. And your home was a lot like my home. You know what I mean? And like I said, I came from a strong home, and then your home became a strong home as well. You know what I mean? And it's interesting how we adapt. You know,
Well,
once we
like-
have some resources,
it's
once
like this.
people aren't all over us, once we actually get a chance to work. Because think about it, man, our people are the people that work, man. And it's just, what trips me out is that how many times you hear our people talking about being mean or hurting or trying to crush or get rid of other people. We never talk shit like that. And you think about it, it's a whole group of Gaga immigrants in our country that all they do is talk about other people,
Right.
what they do and how they come in. Like, man, what the fuck do you do, man? Because like I was talking about, we don't talk about those people. We talk about concepts and things, because we're beyond that. We're not about, individuals. It's just our world that we see is much bigger than that. But when you're at that level, that's where you're at. And so, we may never understand them, at that level.
And that's my point. My point is not to understand a woman. My point is to be curious enough to know, whoa, I should probably be out of this. Or, damn, this is a good invent. Like, I want to be around this. Like the curiosity is what's keeping us there, not love.
Hey, but trip out, Ruben. Trip
Love
out.
could make you stay there and fucking you're taking it hard.
Hey,
Like
but-
Diddy and his homies. You
Hey,
know?
Ruben, you got tripped out, Ruben. I tripped out for this concept lately, and it kind of got me when you're talking, when you speak,
Yeah.
you ain't learning shit. When you listen,
Yeah.
you're learning, and you think about that, man. It's like, 'cause we're on the podcast, and I appreciate that people appreciate what we share, but think about it when Homegirl came on here, that was all of us learning. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because as much as we say, we're talking our
100%.
shit, it's just hearing and listening and being able to
100%.
listen. And I just think that we live in a society that just wants to talk and don't want to listen, And I get on my nephew, my niece a lot. I say, man, stop fucking making statements and start asking questions.
But
That's
right.
and when she pointed out that that was a feminine trait or whatever she pointed out, I don't remember exactly, but that's what I'm talking about in terms of being curious enough that all of a sudden it, oh wow, I had that. I might have learned it from somewhere, and you don't even know that you're doing that because that's how much you respect what you're learning from what you're curious about.
Well, you know what,
Like
too,
you're
Ruben?
applying it. It's kind of like when you go to your uncle's house and he's a mechanic and he uses certain tools, and then you go home to your house and you're like, hey man, I have those tools. I'm going to use those same tools. And it's not like you're calling your uncle going, hey bro, uncle, look. You're not doing that. You're just kind of, oh wow, I learned something. And that was amazing that she was able to point that out. She's like, oh wow, that was pretty feminine.
But
I
bro,
didn't
it's so
realize.
true. Think about Ruben. We succeed all the time, and we took the moment to take. Oh, we succeeded. No, man, but we really only look at when we fuck up. Because that's when you're kind of thinking, okay, I got to learn this. I did something wrong, and if we approach mistakes the right way, the fact that I'm learning something here, it changed this because it's the idea that I'm perfect. I don't do anything wrong. Man, that's fucked up. No, it's not like that. And so you think about it. Homegirl is here to teach us, and maybe we'll teach her if she's open to, because we're open to learning. But it's just that it's a matter of, I think, being again too sometimes just not talking and just listening.
Yeah, no, I hope I wasn't doing that. I hope I wasn't talking over her because
No. I'm just that's
No.
just I was saying that's a concept that I came across, and I was saying like I realized that sometimes we just got like the jaguar. You're talking about the jaguar.
Right.
The jaguar is all about listening.
Right.
The jaguar hunts at night.
Oh.
So the hunting at night is they're watching you. They're watching. They're hearing everything, and you don't
Yeah.
even know. They're just blending into the background, and it's like, if you're gonna guard the night, that's the Jaguar warrior. They
and
guarded the night.
and that I exactly. I want to just learn. Like it's a curiosity. A male and female interaction is just it's a curiosity. You know what I mean? And it ends up being a lengthy curiosity. That's what we call a relationship. You know, so I don't know. I want to stay in that state of curiosity when it comes to those type of interactions. You know, I don't want to figure her out. I don't want to figure out my feminine side. You know, if I happen to have feminine traits, it's something that I'm unaware of, but I felt was needed in my life, and that's why I'm practicing.
I think we all have that, though. We have male and masculine traits. Obviously,
Absolutely.
male, we have more masculine traits than females, but we have
But
it.
pointing them out, like, oh, that's my female side, bro. Like, come on, like that. I'm not gonna do that. Like, it's an honor.
No,
to-
but you can acknowledge it, like you know, like you were saying earlier, the things that your grandma and your mom taught you.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
That's you acknowledging that, like we were talking about earlier about how my mom was very affectionate with me.
Yeah.
As growing up as a kid, she was very affectionate, and you know, we as teenagers sometimes we push her away, like I don't want to kiss mom, no kids, don't kiss me.
Right, right.
Like,
It's funny.
but our females, my mom was like that, and that taught me. It taught me to always show to my son, always let him know that I love him, that I care. You know, so I'm also affectionate to my son, and I used to coach him in soccer for many years, and there was moments where I'll reach over and I give him a hug and I give him a kiss, and he wouldn't like it because I'm giving him a kiss on the cheek in front of his teammates, you know. So he's like, oh, it's a little bit, but I wouldn't let him go. Like, come here, man.
Yeah.
And that's because of my mom. My mom taught me that, you know.
Good point. Because I'm very affectionate to my kids.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and it came from that. So it's like an unconscious femininity, and I want to keep it that way. You know, because it's I get it. Like,
But I acknowledge it, and I acknowledge my mom for that, you know.
Yeah.
My mom,
yeah,
she allowed me to be that. 'Cause she showed me that. She gave me that.
I see.
You know, so because of her and how she was with me, I was able to pass that on to my son.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's crazy when you're saying that, brother? It's interesting that I grew up. I have an older brother and an older sister, but I grew up being that kid that my mother was always smothering me and kissing me, and I was always get away, you know. And the funny thing is, I didn't realize this that my brother did that to my mom. He would kiss her, and she'd say, "Get away from me!" And once I figured, I said, "Holy shit, that's crazy," you know. And then you just but I think that I always think about that, and I'm very glad that my mother was like that with me. That she was affectionate to me. Because I remember, it's kind of crazy, man. My first girlfriend, man, she was so affectionate with me, and it just tore. No, the wrong word. It just my heart sunk. Like I just loved her because she was like my mom. You know, it was weird. You know, but just just amazing how the way we're raised really affects. And I'm again too very blessed. I'm glad it makes sense, brother, that you were raised with a woman that gave mother that gave you affection. It makes sense. You and your brother are very good-hearted people, and so that's not a surprise.
Yeah, thanks.
No, and I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, I hope I'm not devaluing the people.
No,
that
brother,
did-
that's your opinion, brother. That's the thing. We have all
I
different.
just have this, like, I don't know, this just like, I don't want to notice it. Like,
Maybe you don't want to notice it, but I mean, we all have tíos and tías, right? We have tías that have their husbands, our tíos que son mandilones.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? And it's like Homegirl was saying that women are very good administrators, and I agree. I believe that, and yeah, like someone also said on the chat, like she buys all the or she gets all the groceries, but you carry them home.
Exactly.
You know, so that's the give and take. That's the balance.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with having as a man. If she knows what she's doing in the household and she's running that shit, and she's got it on point, and I'm definitely gonna be there to support.
Right.
Or like a homie was saying, Mando was saying that his wife helps him.
Yes.
So that's
A lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she understands that he's got his business to run, and she's willing to help.
Yeah.
And that's the balance. You know, we want to be able to help each other, just like the Tío Mandilón with the groceries. You know what I mean? It's a balance of she's helping him out over here with his business.
Well, I mean, the mandilon thing is like, that's what I'm trying to kind of address in the sense that it's not healthy. It's not healthy to be a mandilon.
No, of course not. But I'm saying to have that balance where you can help each other out.
Yes,
You know?
but not
Not mandilon status where you're doing everything. Yeah, I get that. That's
you know
not-
what I mean?
no.
Because
There's a balance. There's a balance.
We run into stuff like that.
Of course,
like, and
and
I gotta admit, some part of my relationship got to be that way, and you know, I figured, hey, wait, well, what am I doing? Like, I'm losing this part of myself. Like,
Hey, but you know what though? But it's healthy that the homie decided to marry a woman that's about his dream and about what he's doing. Because you think about it, man, that is the best example. Because think about it, man, what's fucked up. How many times you heard her homie say, well, you know what? We're still gonna get married, man. Hopefully after she'll figure it out. Like, dude, how many fools you know said that?
Sacrifice too much of yourself.
Right.
That's what it
And
is.
just but this is man, he did something so healthy. But the thing is what Mondo's doing, really, if you think about it, now we know that since we've done this podcast, he's helped me. Think of how many people that his platform, his thing is getting our message out there. And it's like to think that there's a woman behind him that's only supporting him, like, bro, that's only good for all of us. You know?
Hey, can you, as somebody in the chat zero is saying, what's a mandilon? Can you break it down?
That's a good point.
Gonzalo.
A mandilon is an extreme. How would you say it in English? A mandilon
It's someone who
He's
takes
the guy that wears the apron. He wears the apron.
right.
What?
He takes orders from his wife, right?
No tiene los pantalones.
Yeah, he has
mandilon-
the mandilon, the
A
apron.
mandilon is an order follower.
There you go.
Order
Right.
follower.
But remember, he wears
To
the
extreme,
apron.
though, to the extreme.
Right.
He wears
Where
the
a
female
mandilon
apron.
is a person that it's a yes dear kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes dear.
Doesn't challenge
A
his
straight
wife
yes
at all.
man. He's a straight yes man.
Yeah, he doesn't challenge his wife at all. That's the mandilon. And like I said, you know, that's when we stay in the state of curiosity and understand that this person is this and I'm this. I know what I am, but I don't know what that is. Then we don't get trapped in this mandilon state. That's the way I feel. That's what I feel. You know what I mean? It's not so much that I'm not.
You don't want to lose yourself.
I don't. Why would I do that? Like I've done it. I've done it. I've done it. I just got to say that because we get
If that happens, then you're not you no more.
exactly.
Right.
It is mandilon.
Look, you get into these. You feel like when you're in long relationships, you feel like the surface isn't solid all the time, and so you feel like you got to compensate, and then you're compensating too much when you figure out like, damn, I'm in the mandilon status now, like and you're trying to navigate your way out of it, and I guess my point was this though, that in my situation, I was young, she was young, and we just didn't have enough knowledge. Okay, and that's okay because we learned so much from each other to get to this point. I feel like Armando's in the perfect place to be married. Like
That's good.
he's in the right age group. He did all the bad things, the punching the holes in the wall, the meth hotel rooms and all.
Oh, no.
Just like whatever it was.
I've seen it all. I party too much.
There you go.
Cocaine, all of it, bro.
LA
I'm
natives
not gonna lie.
Armando has partied. So
Hey,
let's
and he picked the best. He
Yes.
picked the best partner.
But once I found out my purpose in life, it all changed.
That's good shit.
and his partner does support him very well. I've never not seen her at the ticket counter when you're trying to go into an event or in the office trying to help out.
That's cool.
Yeah, like the homie said, the P Diddy parties. I've been there, done that.
Oh wow, damn! I wouldn't go that. TMI.
No. It
but-
comes.
Mondo, were you taking that?
comes
Hey,
in
but
the hip-hop
listen,
game.
as I say, guys, on that theme, I want to shout out to the homie Daniel from Teocali because also to that guy, his partner's always there supporting him in his
Absolutely.
events too.
Yeah.
And you note that, and you see the couples that are they support each other, and it's a good example. It's a very good example.
I think everybody searches for that. I think we all
Of
look
course.
for that. I think sometimes we just get a little caught up in taking care of our significant other when we should be taking care of ourselves.
Right.
I feel like, but at the end of the day, I feel like everybody is searching for that peace of mind, right?
But think about that the metaphor that I used between the jaguar and the butterfly. Like, how could a jaguar possibly try and help that butterfly? You can't. You got to help yourself, and that butterfly helps itself. That's what creates, and then the curiosity creates the connection.
Right.
That's, in my opinion, a very loose metaphor, about not losing,
Just curiosity.
not
Just
losing
curiosity.
yourself. Like,
The jaguar is curious of the butterfly.
Right.
And the butterfly is curious
of the jaguar. Like, why is he pawing at me? Why landing? He's crawling.
So there's no benefit from they gaining from each other at all.
The
There's
benefit is the interaction and connection, right? Okay, I'm walking in the jungle and something flies on my ear, and wow, that's a crazy experience. What is that feeling? It's crawling on my eye. Whoa, that's a different experience. We're two separate beings at the end of the day. We connect. We have we have abilities to connect, and that's why the decision is important. But metaphorically, I would like to keep, and this is just me, and Daniel has his version, and I'm sure Sky has his, Armando definitely has his, and so does Gonzalo, and I'm sure everyone in the audience has their own opinion. No one is right. But I'd rather stay in the state where I don't know and I'm curious, and then I whip out my notebook and infinitely learn from you as long as I can. Mm-hmm. And she does the same. And then the compliment happens. Then that's when you go, oh, wow, she folded my clothes. Oh, well, that's cool. Oh, I cleaned your car. Yeah, that's cool. Like, it's unconscious having each other's back, That's the way I see it. Because if I try to figure her out and like, oh, man, she's just being a woman, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, she's using that as an excuse. And I don't want to be in that state. I want to be like, wow, that's curious that she's taking it there, Why? What's?
You don't want to have that expectation going into it, right? Is that kind of what you're kind of getting at?
What I'm saying is that sometimes when you try to figure something out, there's something else in the back of it causing it. And if you're aware of it being a different creature, then you can see it.
I think what you're trying to say is, I think all of us here, all men, have at one point said, I don't understand women.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I know I've had a moment not that long ago, where I'm like, I just give up. I give up. I'm not even going to try to understand women.
Why? It takes the fun out.
Try to understand?
Yeah. Like, once you know, what the fuck is the point? It's kind of like playing a video game and you're like, all right, I beat it. Okay, what's next? You know what route to take. You know what animal to kill. You know what level to get. You know the secret passage. And then you finish the game and that's it. But if the game never ends and there's always a cavern that you haven't discovered, and I don't know, that's stimulating.
Yeah, no, and I feel like sometimes too we get caught up in one video game where you think that that's the game that there is, right? And then you find another one.
On both sides. On both sides.
Absolutely.
On both sides.
Absolutely.
Not just
on both sides.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's.
Well, don't get me wrong. I gave up trying to understand women, but I didn't give up women.
No. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to give up trying to figure that out, what they are.
Well, because
How to make them happy. It's not that. It's like someone will be happy around you, Gonzalo, because you're reliable, you're stable, you have a good job, you have a good career, you have an outlook. Someone wants to sit by you. You know what I mean? That's that curiosity, in my opinion. No one's you don't grab girls and go, hey, you fucking sit here. It's like, that's not the way it works anymore.
Hey, that's Saudi Arabia right there.
So, I mean, we're always, I like to stay in the state of curiosity when it comes to women. That's just my opinion.
Look, the homie Ruben says single guys need to exit the conversation.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
but wait, what does that mean, single guy? Does that mean, I consider myself a single guy, but I'm just not, I don't have a committed partner right now. But I would say this, though. I have females in my circle of friends and confidants, and like, I have that energy. I like that energy. You know what I mean? I'd say how could we not be? You know what I mean? If you're just around guys, I think it would be kind of a rougher perspective because you'd get the feedback that isn't always correct. Sometimes we're just kind of, I don't know, like we say, Lord of the Flies, man. too many of us together is not good.
But I do believe that the union between men and women have to heal. It has to heal, and not on the relationship level, on just on the homeboy homegirl level. You know what I mean? That whatever the women against the men, like we were saying, like women are quick to point out a man in his infidelity or whatever it is. You know? But no one goes and says, "Hey, well, let's point out your psychological trauma that you cause." You know, no one says anything about that because that's like in La La Land. What do you mean? You know, and there is no balance when it comes from that perspective, right? Like pointing the finger at each other. But when you go, "Oh, well, I just don't understand that creature. I never did," right? You stay in a state of innocence.
No, it's true because we have
Instead of going, "Oh, I could prove that this creature does this evil stuff," and it's just stupid. Like, oh, okay, cool. I don't understand. That was whoa. That was very unique.
I think you bring up a valid point though. Like we have, at least I do. It's hard sometimes to understand myself. So to try to understand a woman is a whole nother ball game. You know, all I could do is just really work on myself. At the end of the day,
That's another. I got hit by the youngest people on this podcast with two very wise things. I'm trying to understand myself.
exactly. That's what it's about. I feel like at the end of the day, as long as you try to understand yourself, it's gonna go a long way.
And how much energy goes into that? How much
But
energy?
hey, but I'm gonna add in this, man. I know that it's really healthy, and I've learned this through experience that if women are water, it's not good to act thirsty.
Ooh, explain that one.
Confucius say.
Okay, being this, okay, that if a woman comes into the shop, it's good to just, if she comes in, give her space instead of just coming on to her like flies on shit. And does that make sense? Because I just think sometimes we as men, like, not me per se, 'cause I don't want to be that guy, but you just see this guy that hits on every girl, and it's like, dude, don't you see all the girls watching you do that? And it's like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, well, but the thing is that ultimately, again, too, man, it's like if you're thirsty, the water's gonna look so good all the time. But I just think if we're not so thirsty, then we can really drink. It's kind of like, let me rephrase it. If you're hungry and you go to the grocery store, you're going to end up buying a bunch of shit you don't want and stuff that you didn't need. Like the guy said, send your girl, have her buy cheap stuff. But when you go and you're not, you just start ending up, if you're hungry, you just go, it's like you never go to that place when you're hungry, and so as men, and I think this goes back to discipline. And I've learned this. God, I'll see a woman and I just think, oh, I want to meet her, but I just know to just, leave it to chance. And sometimes by ignoring a woman that I like, somehow I end up meeting her. And I don't know why that works.
If I hear you correct, Daniel, don't go chasing butterflies.
Well, it sounds like you're saying it in a different way.
I think you used to be the butterfly catcher. How that?
Not the
The butterfly killer.
I'm not gonna say that I didn't kill butterflies, but I'm single today. You know what I mean? So I think that in and of itself, no one chose me, then I agreed to the choosing, I guess.
Yes.
And it goes along the lines of what we were talking about, Gonzalo. It's like, we have to start having those conversations as men, and women have to start having those conversations as women. And then we both meet at one point and just have a conversation together, and then go back to our circles and do that a couple hundred times. And then I feel then we'll get to those places where people are, it doesn't have to be such a battle.
No, I would agree. I was gonna say this too, but it's not anything great. But right now, there's a woman that I'm talking to that I like her. You know what I mean? I like what she's about, and vice versa. And like, what was cool is that we start as a friendship. You know what I mean? And she just liked things about me that I thought, oh wow, I've never had somebody appreciate that about me. And so, but am I calling her, text her? Hell no, man. I'm just like enjoying. I'm enjoying the ongoing song, and like we were saying earlier, no expectations, man. I'm just feeling good about it.
And that's the difference of being curious. You're gonna only gonna be as curious as you want to be, and when we try to understand and point things out, like that's when we're like That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like not crossing the boundary of that femininity, understanding that you have those traits, yes, but not like I don't know.
Not overstepping.
Right.
I don't know. It's not like you still have to understand that you're a male.
Yes.
And even though you feel like you have feminine traits, it's cool when a female says, "Oh, that's a feminine trait." And you're like, "Oh, wow. Well, I didn't even see that. Where is that at?" You know, it's like, you know, that's it's do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's like almost like an innocence where you're kind of walking in this way unconsciously, but appreciating what you're interacting with.
Man, I'm thinking about how in the ancient days in Teotihuacan, where relationships, I think they were smooth as hell.
I mean,
I don't know about that.
smoother.
I don't think
Smoother
they
because
ever were, brother.
I think they were smoother because we had, you know, certain disciplines.
Yes, there was roles. There
But no,
was
I do
things were
believe you,
more in
brother.
the cycle.
And the Mexica ways, you know,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But imagine just throwing social media in that mix, just giving them all cell phones and
No, but here you got to figure
that's the battle
society.
that we have to deal with today, right?
Yeah.
No, but that society nurtured groups, you know, couples coming together. Like,
Like my wife is really into social media. Right. You know, or my significant other is really into social media. I can't argue with that, you know?
Well, you're a blogger.
yeah, that works for you. In your union, that's a strength.
Yeah.
You know,
And she could use that to help your business, and I'm sure she does. You know, but there is no wrong or right. There's no length of time that we need to have as long as we understand our own selves. And when we take it back to our own selves, I'm not going to go, oh, well, let me see what parts are feminine. I know that I have feminine parts or whatever it is. I know that the penis is whatever, you know,
hey,
the
but dude, I'm
biological.
totally down to explore feminine parts. Like that's totally acceptable.
But, you know, I think I want to stay in the state of curiosity when it comes to that gender. And that's just me. And I love the fact that we had a conversation where there was 3 different opinions and an opinion from a woman that really kind of, I think, it didn't bring clarity, but at least it created a discussion.
Yeah, it softens things up for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, and, you know, that's what I love about, you know, LA Natives and Las Taslan podcast, you know, and, you know, my friends that I call, you know, that come on the show like Daniel, Sky, and today Gonzalo and Armando. Shout out to Maravilla for calling in and sharing your opinion, because I really value the opinion of a woman in my own way. You know, people are going to have a different opinion about how I perceive women, and what I'm only going to tell you from what's coming from my mouth and what my heart is saying. You know, and I just like to stay in the state of curiosity.
I want to shout out all the hardcore viewers that stuck with us from beginning to end. We just hit 2 hours 0, and we got guys and girls that are just tuning in from beginning to end, man. I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. Shout out
we
to
love you guys.
yeah. Shout out.
The chat's been super good. They had a lot of good feedback.
Got a lot of
today.
stuff to say.
I'm glad. I mean, I just hope that
Just
you
make
guys,
sure, like Zero was about to say, like the video, share the video, comment in the video. We have to battle YouTube. Let's get not just to 1,000 subscribers, 1,300,
we need
1,400,
1,300.
1,500 subscribers.
We need 1,300 to start, and then we'll go to 52. You know, but that's a serious goal. That's not hard to achieve, and we're not asking for a lot. These conversations matter. Remember, we're taking our own time. No one pays us to be here, and not that they need to. I'm just saying that this is a commitment that we have for you guys, and the least the community could do is share the video, subscribe, go to Bandcamp.
In the links below, we have Zero's new music on Bandcamp.
Gotta unmute your mic.
Put your mic.
Unmute your mic, Barack.
Let's get
In the
PDs.
description below.
Say it yourself.
In the description below, we have t-shirt links. Support by purchasing a t-shirt. Most importantly, check out
I
Zero's
see Diddy.
Bandcamp page. Support Zero's Bandcamp page. If you guys haven't listened to his projects, that's where you can find it.
Right. Yeah. You know, that's how you support the program. You know, you support the program by buying the music, by buying the shirts, by whatever we post on Bandcamp. Those are our resources that we're going to use to make this show better, and to do the events, and to do. I want to start giving away things to the chat, man. There's
Absolutely,
so
that's
many people
something
on
we're
there.
talking about.
So next week, let's tell our friends. Let's subscribe. Let's get to 1,300. Let's say the minute we get to 1,300, we're gonna start giving away mineral powders. We're gonna put our money where our mouth is.
Exactly.
Because we're gonna start healing this community because this community deserves it, and we deserve to be in a state that our ancestors prepared for us long, long ago. Cuauhtémoc said that we'd come back, and this is the beginning of it.
Right. The sun has returned.
Exactly. We need to interact. We need to have these conversations. We need to question the colonial perspective. We need to come together. And this is the way we do it. We need to get a better relationship between men and women. Because when our union becomes solid, concrete, the prophecy will come true. The prophecy is coming true. We're the seeds of it. So we'll see you next week. Tlazocamatli, Umeteo.